feeling yeah or feeling nah at this point in the day? Yeah? You feeling yeah? That's good. So I thought I'd come along today, and thanks for having me, to talk about, I guess, the startup journey of KeepCup and then where we've evolved to today, and I guess some of the decisions that we've made to stay true to what our roots are and how that's going to direct us in the future. So KeepCup started out, I guess, as, I'll begin the story. So my brother and I started Blue Bag in the city. I don't know if you know those stores. All around Melbourne, and it started off because my brother was working in London and I was here working as a solicitor in Melbourne, and every week he'd call me up with a new business idea, like what about a veterinary supermarket, or I can't remember some of the crazy ideas he had. And one day he said, oh, what about pret-a-manger? Or there are these fantastic stores in London. You go in, it's convenient space, you just grab your sandwich, the food's fantastic. Why don't we start one in Melbourne? And I thought, well, I'm a good cook and I like people. Well, how hard can it be? Well, it turned out it was really hard. And we did that business for 10 years. And yeah, you're dealing with food, so you're dealing with something that could possibly kill people. You're dealing with staff who often want to be doing something else. And it was fun, but it was a difficult business to run. And in that time, we saw the rise and rise of the disposable coffee cup. And I remember a lawyer coming in sort of in the late 90s when we got these branded blue disposable cups. And he goes, I feel like a baby drinking out of this cup. And then fast forward to now, and we all drink our disposable cups and we don't think twice. So in that time I thought, well, why are we drinking out of these disposable cups? And is there a better alternative? So in the winter of 2007, we trialled a decor soup mug. So we just bought a plastic mug and we sold it, and 15% of our customers returned and reused for a discount. And we thought, my goodness, if we get this product right, there is a market for it. And if there is a market for it, the market is global. So we went and got industrial designers to help us design the product, and we had this prototype that I thought looked absolutely awesome. We also got a grant from the City of Melbourne. They gave us funding to help send us on our way. And I still remember Tammy Stokey calling up and going, are you sure no one has done this before? It seems such a simple and obvious idea. And anyway, we got, sustainability was the key to the product. I thought that the idea at the time was that Jamie would continue running Blue Bag and I would run KeepCup from sort of home and do it in the garage. The realities turned out to be something quite different. But so we got this prototype and I took it down to a tool maker, and he said, I've got $1 million worth of tools sitting over there for much better products than yours. And he said, so if you cannot sell this off the prototype, forget about it, because you've got to be able to sell it. And it was the best advice that we ever got, because it's true. If you can't sell your idea and you don't understand what is the solution you're selling to other people, then you won't get it off the ground. So at the time I thought that was terrible, but I called, because we had Blue Bag, we dealt with a lot of corporate catering departments. So I think I called over 100 companies, and in that time you got to really hone your idea, pitch it, understand what the impediments were, and really listen to what would work and what wouldn't. And lo and behold, we got a meeting down here at the Docklands to see National Australia Bank, and I rode my bike down, and Jamie goes to me, are you even going to put it in a box? And so I got a shoe box, which I put it in. The lid didn't come off, the band was like an elastic band. Like when I look back, anyway, so I met the sustainability team at NAB and they said, we'll buy 5,500. And I couldn't believe it. And I called, Granddad says, I called my dad, I go, Dad, they're going to buy 5,500. And he's like, wait till you get the purchase order. He didn't believe it either. But looking back at the time, I just thought, of course they'll buy it, like it's a great idea. But looking back, I realised that what they were buying wasn't so, it was the product, but it was also, they were buying their confidence in me, that I was going to be able to deliver the product, and my, I guess my passion and my belief in what I was doing. And that's turned out to be a really valuable lesson over the years. So we did that. And then, so we got sales before we even had a product. So we'd almost paid for the tooling by the time the product went to market. And that was enormous. I mean, imagine the confidence that gives you moving forward when you've done that. So then we went to a design market in Federation Square. and in 6 hours we sold 1,000 cups. And people were coming up, and we had to assemble them as we were selling them. And I think we were selling them for $8, and people were saying, they're too cheap, you'll never make any money, put the price up, or this is my idea, you've stolen my idea. And another thing, when we were discussing how KeepCup would work, we were like, is it going to be about fun and colour and design, or is the business going to be about sustainability? How will the brand talk to the market? And in that market, we saw what the answer was, because a man spent about 45 minutes deciding between the soft charcoal and the warm grey. And we realised that the colour and the design were the pull-in. So people come to us and go, I don't even know what this is, but I want one. So I think in product design, designing something that is quite familiar, that looks familiar, that's not too much of a stretch from what people are used to, was of enormous benefit to us. And our timing was good in the sense that we were solving a problem that people were already thinking about. They're already thinking about the problem of disposable cups. So from there, a woman in LA did a blog called Apartment Therapy, and that afternoon we watched as 7 people in America bought KeepCups from this market in Federation Square. So we set up our digital platform to be global immediately. And then we followed the business. My brother was travelling in the UK, and we set up over there. We thought it would go the same way it went in Australia, but of course the market is completely different. So in Australia, KeepCup grew with the independent scene. So a sort of a hidden part of the success of the business was we found a distribution network that not many other people, well, no one was really using. So the cafe scene, and before KeepCup, cafes really only sold food and coffee, and we gave them another revenue stream. Whereas in the UK and in the US, they've had merchandise shelves for years and years and years, so there's not much new in that. But the business has grown in the UK, and I think we got in at ground zero at the independent coffee scene, which really stood us in good stead. And then just to touch on staying true to our values. So the vision for the business has always been that we want to locally manufacture. I'm a big advocate of local manufacture. And we wanted to create a sustainable story in every market that we're in. And 2 years ago, we got to the point in the UK where we had enough volume that we could locally manufacture. And I went to the UK and met with a whole lot of plastics manufacturers to get some pricing for the tool, and when I got the pricing back, it was more expensive to make it in the UK than it was to make it in Australia and ship it to the UK. And I went to my team and I go, oh, I don't think we can do this. Like commercially, it just doesn't make sense. And one of the girls I've worked with for many, many years, she was at that first design market, said, you have to do it. You have to be true to your values. You have to put bank that the reason you're in business and what you're doing it for, which is about sustainability and local manufacture, will resonate with the UK consumer, and you'll be able to absorb that price increase by the more product you'll sell in the UK as a result of local manufacture. So it was a bit of a leap of faith, but it was one that paid off, and now we've got a great local manufacturer, and we put on the box that it's made in the UK and it's selling very well over there. And so then so that's all been going very well. And then on May 31st this year, War on Waste aired. Did anyone see that show? Well, and what it did was Craig Rucastle did a show all about waste and our responsibility for it. And they called up to get a fact check from KeepCup. We've just recently done a life cycle analysis about our product, how it's manufactured, and I guess independently establishing our sustainability credentials. So they gave a fact check, and then I got an email that night saying, would you like to come down and be on the tram with Craig? And I missed the email, the biggest regret of my career. Anyway, the show aired on May 31st. We were all excited. We knew it was going to talk about the fact that disposable cups weren't recyclable and what the alternatives were. It aired. Our website crashed that night. And we came in and thought, oh, that was good, that was awesome. We sold 200 cups online, that was a good result. And then the phone rang, and it hasn't stopped. And what has happened is that our business has more than doubled overnight. And what that's meant is that every system we had in our business broke. So right from someone, we used to do it that we would our sales cycle was that you would, if you're a small cafe, you would order and then you would pay, and then within 3 days we'd ship the goods out. And then we had customers saying, "Your KeepCup, because what you're doing is you're keeping our money and your cup," because we just couldn't get the product out in time. So we've had to go through our entire process, from the way we take payment to the way people order, our customer service portal, and move from being a pick-to-order organisation to pick and pack. It's like, have you seen that ad with Jean-Claude Van Damme when he's on straddling the 2 semi-trailers? Well, that's what I said our team's been doing. So while we're going really fast, we're having to swap from one business process to another. So it's been an incredibly exciting time, and one that really... So our aim was always to get reuse rates to 30%, and we're now seeing cafes calling us up going, we've gone from 30 people using a reusable cup to 300. And you can see that tipping point is happening where, you know, there's more and more people using a reusable cup, which in turn, it's brand in hand, will get more and more people doing it. So it's a really exciting time for the business, and yeah, that's where we're at KeepCup, and being true to our values. We're still in Fitzroy. Another of our issues is how do we continue to operate within the inner city, but it's where we like to be, so we'll do our best to stay.
So we've got a couple of questions from the audience.
Yeah.
I have to say, I spend a lot of time in America, and I always feel particularly proud when I see KeepCups, a little bit of Melbourne on the shelf there, and very fitting that I think it's always in a coffee shop. I don't think anyone overseas quite appreciates how we love our coffee here in Melbourne. So one of the questions is, a reusable cup is a very simple idea.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, it's an idea that probably a lot of people had as well. What do you think it took to make you successful in that and not so many other people? What was that one thing?
I don't know. There's a quote I love from Thomas Carlyle who says that, what is it about? That the originality is not about novelty, it's about sincerity. So I think that the sincerity of the mission of the business and its belief, and the way that everything we do is reflected right throughout the business. So when we said we would be about fun and colour and design, sustainability has always underpinned what we do. So when you scratch the surface, you can see every decision we make about how we make the product, the materials we use, the way we ship it, you know, the way our staff talk and behave. It runs right through. And I think we designed, I mean, the thing that we've had a lot of competitors come onto the market, and I go to these talks and I say we designed a product that was fit for purpose. It was the first barista standard reusable cup, and what that means is it fits under the group heads. It has a volume that's the same as disposable cups, so you can dose the coffee correctly, like get the apportionment of milk and coffee right. And it's got a lid that just presses on so you don't compromise that fast service in the coffee environment. And no one, I mean, the replicas have never got that main point that it's fit for like it suits the way Australians drink their coffee and the way we want to fill the cup. It's the product design.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And good to know that, you know, simple ideas aren't always bad ideas, I think.
Yeah, but also the thought that we wanted to make it work from behind the machine and in front of the machine, I think, is probably key as well.
So someone's asked about your collaboration with Sea Shepherd, which I actually don't know much about, so if you want to talk to about that, and who approached who?
I can't remember. So there's a fellow who's worked with us for many years, Isaac, in our sales team, and I think he loves Sea Shepherd. And I think he might have spoken to them at some point, but we did a cup, and then I think it was just for the Australian market, and now that's extended globally to a collaboration with them. So we give 15% of the retail price to Sea Shepherd for every cup we've sold. But the wonderful thing is that Sea Shepherd's not so much known in the UK market, but when we were at London Coffee Festival last year, people were wanting to buy it just because of they thought the logo was cool. They didn't even know what it was. I don't know if you know it, it's like a skull and crossbones, and it's all black. It's very pirate-like. Yeah.
So a couple of questions about where you see yourself in 5 to 10 years, and if you've got any plans to diversify into other products.
Yeah, that's a question. So Jamie and I started the business KeepCup, and we separated. I bought him out 3 years ago, and he's about to move into some other products like lunch boxes, so he's going down that path. For me, it's about disposable cups, so there's still a lot of iterations to have just within that space. I think there's 1 million disposable cups discarded to landfill every minute around the world, so there's a bit of work to do there. Just subtle variations in the way people drink their coffee or preference for materials. And I read just recently that they had a campaign in Mexico to save the flamingo, and it saved the whole Yucatan Peninsula, and how if you just focus on one thing in a really clear and succinct message, you can actually have a flow-on effect to other things. So I think that we chose the disposable cup because it's such an obvious item of the impact of convenience culture that is just so unnecessary, and I think that once people start on that journey, it spreads into other behaviours, which is fantastic.
So we've got a few questions about the materials you use, and obviously your message is sustainability.
Yeah.
A few questions around thinking about using materials other than plastic to create your cups. I'm sure you get this a lot.
Yes, I do get this a lot. So plastic. So when we go to Europe and we say we're making cups out of glass, they're like, why? Why would you do that? Because plastic is actually the material that most can have a closed loop system. So we use number 5, which is polypropylene. It can be downcycled into many other products. I think that people are getting really confused about the materiality issue. It's not so much the material you're drinking from, it's the volume you are using. So 1 KeepCup is like 86 grams of plastic. If you use a disposable cup and lid for a year, that's 3 kilograms of plastic just in the disposable cup and lid. So it's not so much, if we tried to take plastic out of our lives, like there are so many items we use of plastic, and the ones we need to target are the ones that are made of, that we only use once.
Well, thanks very much, Abigail. It was great to have you here. Great Melbourne success story. If you join me in thanking Abigail.